Counting double-digit thousands.
What's up, CT Racer X peeps? This is your boy CT Racer X, and today we're going to be changing out the valve cover gasket on a 2009 Audi TT. And this is something that is the same for both the Jetta, the Golf, or anything that uses the 2-liter BPY designated motor. Okay? First things first, get your gloves, get your tools, and let's get started. Alright, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to obviously lift the hood, and you're going to need to remove the engine cover. Now on a stock vehicle like that, the engine cover up there, I've taken off this car because this car now actually has an intake on it from engine. But what you're going to need to do is pull that engine cover off of this motor, and the way you do that is you lift right around these plug zones here. One here, and there's two in the back, about here and here. Okay, you're going to lift up on that in the front and the back, and that'll pop it loose from the valve cover. And then you're going to take the two star head screws right out of here. I believe they're like T20s or something like that. They're little tiny stars. You take those out, and you'll be able to take that whole entire engine cover off of the engine, and now you have access to the valve cover. The other thing I would do is open up the oil filler location. Open it up, and that way you don't run the risk of damaging it at a later time when you're pulling everything off. Okay, the next step is then going to be to take out your spark plug coils. Okay, in order to take out your spark plug coil, which is this guy right here, what you're going to need to do is put in a flathead screwdriver, pull back on this plug here and slide it away from the coil. Okay, you have 4 of them if you have a BPY motor, so you're going to do that 4 times. Now, when you're pulling out the coils, they are sort of difficult to pull out. So if you need to, if you have a 90-degree angle, pair of pliers, you may be able to slide it underneath the coil and sort of jimmy it out of there without crushing it or hurting your fingers or anything like that. Okay, the next step is to go ahead and remove all of the little connections. All right, I'm also going to be removing my intake off of here because that's necessary just to have it out of the way. What I mean by the little connections is, one here, you've got the PCV valve. You go ahead and just pinch on this and slide it out. That's going to take some time, but be very careful because this is brittle and you may break it. The other is another breather valve. You're going to, again, pinch on this and pull it away from the valve cover. All right, and then there is a plug back here you're going to need to go ahead and remove this from as well. Now, this is a really long nipple, so you're going to want to go ahead and pinch the hose clamp back and slide it down, and then slide this off. Okay, this next step is twofold. First, what you want to do is go ahead using a T30 and remove all of the T-star bolts from the valve cover. First, the 2 in the cam cover, go ahead and take those completely out. And then there's a bunch of T30s around the periphery of the valve cover. Okay, they're not going to come out, but you can release them all the way up. So just go ahead and spin those all the way up. Use an impact wrench. If you are, turn the impact wrench to no more than about 20 foot-pounds. That'll get them all out of the head. Fairly simple. The next step is using a smaller T20 to take the PCV valve off. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PCV valve star bolts. So go ahead and pull those off. So that way the PCV valve is now released from the valve cover. Okay, the next step is kind of rough. Okay, and it is twofold as well. Twofold. First, you're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 breather lines. All right, they're on there really good. If you've never taken off the valve cover, they're going to be on there very tough. It is going to require about 10 minutes to 15 minutes of massaging with a very narrow plier set, something like this. Okay, right angle plier. Just massaging that pipe until they slide off. Now, the other half of that is that the bigger of the 2 pipes actually has one of these fancy little clasps on it. So what you're going to do is go ahead and stick a Phillips head screwdriver or flathead screwdriver, inside of here, pry this edge up, and then unwrap the big pipe, and then again wedge it off. Then you're going to need to get a flathead screwdriver, shove that around the body of the valve cover and pry very gently. Okay, this is plastic, so if you get to really wrenching on this, you will break this valve cover, and you do not want to do that. So just go ahead and pry it very lightly. Everything will come up, and voila, you will have a valve cover free from the BPY motor. Okay, here comes the fun and messy part. If you haven't put your gloves on, definitely put them on, okay? First thing you want to do is go ahead and pull the valve cover gasket off, okay, of the valve cover. And it's going to be rigid and probably broken in places, so just go ahead and pull it off. Do not pry it off with a razor blade or something like that. You don't want to gouge any of these areas, because if you breach any of these areas, they will leak, and that will suck, okay? The next step is you want to go ahead and push all of the little screws out of the valve cover itself. Then you're going to want to clean the valve cover very well, or at least around the edge where the valve cover gasket is going to sit. So that's around the spark plug holes here and around the periphery. Clean it really good with a brake cleaner. Then you're also going to want to clean the actual surface of the head itself, because if you don't clean any of this stuff off, it defeats the purpose of actually changing the valve cover gasket. You will have a future leak. Okay, if you've now cleaned off your valve cover surface and your mating surface to the head itself, you're ready to go ahead and install your new valve cover gasket. Now, when you took those little nuts out, that allows you to take the valve cover gasket off. When you put the nuts on, it helps you to keep the valve cover in place. Take a look what I mean. See? When I hold this guy sideways, valve cover gasket stays on and stays in place. Now, what we can do is go ahead and put your new valve cover, or I should say your old valve cover with the new gasket, on the head. So just go ahead and do it like that, lay it down, and you are in business. Okay, so now you're ready to put the valve cover actually on the car and ratchet it down. You're going to be putting these all back in at 20 foot-pounds, and the way you're going to go ahead and do that is you're going to go here, then to this one, then to this one, then this one over here, this one right here, this one right here, this one right here, this one right here, and then finally this guy here, and then here, here, and then just kind of walk them in till you get to this last bolt, which is right here. All 20 foot-pounds, and now the valve cover is solid and in place, and it isn't going to leak. Now the last step in the whole entire process is to just go ahead and put everything back, right? Start with your two pipes over here. Go ahead and add the little collar back to the pipes over here. Put your little clip back on. Add your wire back in here. Put your intake back on. Put your valve, put your oil cap back on. Reattach the PCV valve. Put in your coil packs. Reattach the wiring, and you are in business. All right, the next step is to go ahead and start the car and see if we have any valve cover leaks. So we've got the car complete. There are no leaks, so everything is perfect. I'm happy, and you should be happy too if you followed along and did all the same things that I did. Make sure that you take your time. There's a lot of plastic under the hood. The last thing you want to do is wreck a piece. As you know, Audi replacements, Volkswagen replacements can be rather expensive. So definitely take your time. If worst come to worst, hand tighten everything. Just make sure you don't have any leaks. Okay, if you have any comments, comment below. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, CTRacerX, just like the page you're watching, definitely subscribe, hit the little bell button, make sure you get those updates when I send in new videos, because I do lots of fun things. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you real soon.
Double-digit thousands.